Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for your occasions in this event KIP 2023. I would like to present my presentations in this YouTube video that I want to learn, share one by one about my research here. The title have Asian Multiculturalism Reflected in Raya and the Last Dragon movie. My name is Azza Rosella from the English Department program, and my advisor to area Fajar SSM home here. And thank you for my examiner in the last previous study. Our meeting have completed the research here, this study, and I want share one by one to the discipline of educations here. And then I want to share from the chapter 1 until the chapter 5 here, from the introduction until the conclusions, to know how about the Asian multiculturalism reflected in this movie, especially Raya and the Last Dragon movie. And in this, the chapter 1 that have a background study here, there is some of flow here about the background, the first until the last, why I found out the title and what the objective research I want to know. And then there are two objective research here. And then the first one, why I choose the title that Asian multiculturalism reflected in this movie, because Asian have contained 600 million people from 10 members country together. They consist included Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, Brunei Darussalam, Vietnam, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia. One of the main perspective creating Asians is more knowing each other and know more about multiculturalism that have background our countries. And then in this era, in 4.0 in technology here, people can freely move one to another countries because of traveling, shopping, study abroad, or etc. And then English as international language and have potential to know each other in communications. About the strategy to as the CCU here, because CCU is the important basic skill as the people to move one to another country. And then CCU has been able to synchronize different point of view. It's capable to equalize view but for their own belief. And then CCU here is capable to emerge empathy towards others' culture, countries. And CCU aims to put the heart of ideas about cultural value. I think the CCU here it is the important thing that must have in every people in the world. And then I use the film here, especially Raya and the Last Dragon movie, to know CCU and to know what how the multiculturalism reflected in this movie, especially Asian that we know in Southeast Asian countries that have been from the 10 countries here. And then we have the different background, different culture, then we must know each other and we belong together, live together to make the Asian more stronger than the others country. And then what the problem statement that I want to know here, the first is I want to find out the kinds of Asian cross-cultural aspect used Raya and the Last Dragon movie. And then the second one, to find out multiculturalism in Asian country. Why? The first, the cultural aspect is many things, from the food, from the clothes, from the transportations maybe, and then from the art, martial art, and others. And then how multiculturalism reflected here. Multiculturalism have been background our countries to know each other, so we must know and we must empathy believe one to another culture when we spend our time in one countries, one by one countries, with the different culture with ours. And then this is the problem statement here that I have explained before. What are kinds of cross-cultural aspect here used in Raya and the Last Dragon movie, and then how multiculturalism reflected in Raya and the Last Dragon movie. And then this is the objective research to find out the kinds of cross-cultural aspect used in Raya and the Last Dragon movie, and then to find out how multiculturalism reflected in Raya and the Last Dragon movie. And then this is the significance of the research for the lecture, English department, researchers, especially for the theoretically, practically, and pedagogically. It is for the researchers hope that the result of the research can be used as useful informations to make English teachers and other teachers understand better about CCU in teaching English. And then about in a theoretical and practically is this research can be used as the reference for the readers or students who want to conduct research by using picture series in movie, and the result of this research is expected to support on the existing some theory. And then for the practically, the researchers hope the students, especially students, will understand about students better so that can support outside and inside in the class. And then the next about the definition of key terms here, Asian and multiculturalism. Asian as Southeast Asia, the most diverse regions in the world and in nearly every dimension of society. Asian consists by million people from 10 member countries together that I have found explained before. As Southeast Asia integrates socially, educationally, issues of equality, cultural identity, and opportunity are at stake. Aspects that own the diversity consist martial art, weapon art, culinary, or food we know. And then the last is transportations. How the multiculturalism as the key terms here. Ethnic multiculturalism is the ethnic group cannot be forced to live or their own culture for creating a new one, but therefore, the needed integrations must be available for every nation to bring their ethnic traits. So we must be integrated and believe in each other, and must be available to diverse element and turn them consistently to working out together for Asians in the same matter. And then the next one is chapter 2 about theoretical review here. Theoretical review here about the theory that I used to conduct all of the objective research here. There is the previous study, there are 5 here about the research finding from Adriana, of Vera, finding from Alivianda, and then research finding of Larasati, finding from Leo. It's the same of scope that same with my research. And then the next one about theoretical review here, that I used a Strath-Hall representation theory about encoding and decoding, especially that encoding is a process in which the filmmaker organizes the message that he will give with the best code that a warp in the video, in the warp in this film according him before it's given to the viewer or receiver through the character, while decoding is how the viewer or receiver can understand the message content from the character made by filmmaker. So both of them, encoding and decoding, must be similar, must be same with the message from the filmmaker, and the reader can catch the message from the video. So we must know CCU, and we must detail to explain one to another. And then next, review of related literature about the film and the CCU here, that Raya and the Last Dragon movie, why I'm as researchers want to conduct this film to know CCU more about multiculturalism, especially in Asian, because it is so video interest, visual image to make the viewer more easier to understand the CCU about the multiculturalism that reflected in this video, this film, this movie. So I think this is enough because the CCU is more comprehend one by one to know why CCU is important for our life, especially in a job world, because even we know the others people that have the different background with our culture, we must be empathy, we must be belief, we must be care and respect to live together, to harmonies, to make the harmonious communications relationship here in a job or our relationship in the world. So the next one, this is the theoretical framework. There are the flow of the process I have found from to find out my objective research here. And then the chapter 3 about research method that I have used to know to find out the research object. I use the qualitative research. The setting of study is freedom, place, and time in everywhere, every time, and anywhere that I want to conduct this research. I can. Data and data source, primary data and secondary data that obtained from the movie itself. I will be captured one by one, and then I will divide it into kinds of cultural aspect on the movie itself. And then the second one, to strengthen the information of that and supporting data taken, I taken from the literary journal books related to the movie. So the data collections here obtained from the Raya's movie context, cultural aspect that have found in this movie. And then the data analysis is collecting data, and then I documented identification, and then the next one I want to classifications what kinds of aspect cultures here, and then I found out the result here about the multiculturalism, how the multiculturalism in Asian reflected in this movie. So next, about chapter 4, the finding and discussions here. The kinds of cultural aspect reflected in Raya and the Last Dragon movie is from Indonesia culture. Why I say this is from Indonesia? Because it must be it is looks like Indonesian's culture. The first one is keris. Keris is dabbing weaving belonging to dagger art origin from Java, and then kind of keris that use Raya and the Last Dragon Java is wavy, or we know as the asymmetrical keris, and keris here as represents national identity of Indonesia, especially Javanese island. And then in Indonesia, the weapon as identical as keris here, identical as spiritual object, the keris and considered to own magical energy. And then the next one about art that we know. The art here as batik fabric. The scenes shown up from the making process of batik until the batik fabric clothes. The design pattern looks like Indonesian batik, and batik as in identity, national identity from Indonesia, because as the sisik in Vis, and then batik has claimed from UNESCO as the Indonesian identity. UNESCO as the world organization that claim this is the really native from Indonesia as the national identity from Indonesia. And then the next one, after that, the martial art here. Raya's movement here looks like the Pencak Silat movement, especially silat harimau, or we know tiger silat harimau, fighting harimau style that places an emphasis on moving like a tiger on the spring on the opponent and then targeting vulnerable pressure points. The style in the rise of silat here called as sasaran and the silat as one of self-defense style. And then next one I found out from the Thailand about tuk-tuk here. The name tuk-tuk is same with in the real life, same with the name of transportation taxi from Thailand, and even the film tuk-tuk have the same transportation, but the visual image from the movie tuk-tuk here from the one of character in Disney 2021 animated feature movie from the pullback, like a pullback here, but the tuk-tuk is public transportation in real life from Thailand, look like bajai here. And then the next one I found out a food from Thailand that name as we know called tom yum. Tom yum, this is the Sif Benja when the Raya's bus shares the meal of Tom yum. This is the native meal from Kumandra. Tom yum is famous in Southeast Asian countries. It comes from Thailand. Tom yum is some of soup served in a bowl, usually composed from seafood, chicken, vegetable in spicy taste. And then the next one about Philippines. I found out the cultural aspect from Philippines. The kind of cultural aspect from Philippines is a weapon named Kali, and the weapon used by Raya named by Kali that used in martial art from Philippines named Arnis. Kali looks like a wavy-edged sword about 30-inch long made by wood. Kali in Arnis martial art is highly effective to self-defense situations. So the next one I found out about cultural aspect from Vietnam here, that I found out the foods, the other foods from Vietnam is named Ban Thet. Ban Thet is in Indonesia look like a lemper, and then it is a dish that is shown out with rubbed with a banana leaf into a thick long cylinder shape with a mung bean or pork film then boiled. It is sweetened cake from the sticky rice. And then the next one I found out the Asian multiculturalism reflected in Raya and the Last Dragon movie, that Asian multiculturalism that we know, the meaning of multiculturalism here is implementations of harmony in unity. And then the cultural diversities here will be united when we bring it togetherness. So a policy option as instead the integration of many and varied identity groups into the national whole. The national unity may be developed through the diversity for the richness of the existing multicultural life contribute to the vitality and the strength of the nations. And then the next one, when the multiculturalism reflected, the first one in the picture 4.8 here, when the Sif Benja or Rayasba in minutes 9:44 here, when the Sif Benja adding the ingredients, each ingredient to make a tom yum, he said, or how about shrimp paste from Thailand, lemongrass from Thailand, bamboo shoots from Spain, child from Fang, and palm sugar from Hertz. Multiculturalism represent in each ingredient as encode from the movie maker, making as the symbol of multiculturalism that want the receiver to conduct what the multiculturalism reflected in this movie. So the multiculturalism from each ingredient must be togetherness to make the tom yum have the good taste, have a perfect taste to a food to meal for the people. So even one or two of ingredients is not adding to the making tom yum here. Maybe the taste is not yummy, is more yummy, even the perfect taste have a complete ingredients here. So I think the movie maker want to deliver that multiculturalism must be have in making tom yum here to make a perfect taste in the result of tom yum. And then the next one is multiculturalism say respect with the difference of diversity are allowed to keep the unique character of each. So in multiculturalism show us the blend of ingredient in making tom yum as a native food from Kumandra that we know in the real life. Tom yum is a native food, native meal from Thailand as Asian country. And then pluralism in multiculturalism that we know multiculturalism toward in pluralism concept that the meaning of the pluralism here is diversity as a pattern of social life have own in nations that encourage the unity and integrity. Even pluralism active to engage with diversity for increasing tolerance in our society. So the keywords, the key of pluralism here is diversity and integrity and tolerance each others. So I found out as I am a researcher find out in the picture in minutes 1:24 and 7 seconds here when Namari from Fang, Raya from Herd, both Bone from Tail, Little Noi from Talon, and Tongue from Spain, trapped in Rhines and Stone in Unity, that they are grab one pieces from the broken dragon gem here, that the broken gem of the pieces dragon gem here must be united to make the stronger to attack to against the drone as the virus as the monster here. So one of the character here, Raya, as from the herd, want to decided to give the pieces of the dragon gem here to Namari from the Fang, and then the other one follow up the principle from the Rayas here, and the Namari here believe to togetherness, bring the dragon gem together to get the unity, and the others follow Raya and given the gem into a Namari. So the decided to choose it from the Raya here. This is the coach here from the movie maker to deliver the message how the pluralism reflected in Raya and the Last Dragon movie from each tribes, from the each tribe that Namari from Fang, and then Raya from her, Bone Tail, Little Noi Talon, and Tongue from Spain. The unity that can emerge the shards of dragon gem, and finally they can unite and get the harmonious from the Kumandra Island here. So pluralism proof that show in Raya movie scenes. In pluralism that every citizen should priorities and welfare through unity. Because the core of pluralism here concept is willingness of the island's people. And in the movie, Kumandra have 5 tribes here to live together. So the last chapter here, the conclusion here, is it Raya and the Last Dragon movie placed in Kumandra that consists of 5 tribes here. When the 5 tribes here coexist different culture and bring their distinctive identity, multiculturalism ideas when the integration of many and varied identity groups bring the nationality. So, national unity may be developed through the diversity for the reasons of existing multiculturalism. So, the form of the quotes here that deliver from the movie maker claim as the Southeast Asia country, then and the quotes delivered in movie explain that there are pluralism in multiculturalism in Raya and the Last Dragon movie, and then the researcher confirmed there are multiculturalism consists of pluralism, and then in analyze and identity toward pluralism, the researcher concludes that diversity as a pattern of society life have on in a nation that encourages the unity and integrity. So pluralism a proof that show in Raya and movie scenes. And then in conclusions here, there are the suggestions and conclusion and the suggestions here. The suggestions here deliver to the result. One of the most important in the result analysis how multiculturalism reflected in Raya movie to adding informations as reference in comprehend CCU, especially in Asian cultures. And the research showed theory and code ended code from truth-whole representation. Theory can be effective to interpret the capture scenes in the deliver the message from movie story. Therefore, to the further learning process should have the learning media from movie or others to catch the students' interest in learning multiculturalism. Thank you very much for the attentions. Thank you very much for the occasions here to deliver my research finding in this research. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.